5 minutes past 3. Helen with you for this last hour. It's competition time. Lots of you correctly guessing which bird can fly backwards. Not a sentence I ever thought I'd say on radio. But if you get it right, you are in the draw to be today's finalist. And then tomorrow, fingers crossed, if you have got a furry friend, they're the ones who will be benefiting because we've got a prize worth 3,000 dirhams at Aura Veterinary Centre. This is a comprehensive wellness package, consultation, and even the annual vaccination package as well. They're all about proactive pet wellness, not just treating illness. So there's dental care and weight support, clear expert guidance from their vets as well, all in a very calm, pet-friendly environment there in Dubai Investment Park. So tell me, which bird can fly backwards? Is it a hummingbird or is it a cockatoo? Send me that on 4001. Please include your name, and hopefully I'll be saying your name just before 4 o'clock.
This is Eye on Education on Dubai Eye 103.8.
Sponsored by Horizon English School Town Square, a new British curriculum school opening in August 2027. Built on over 35 years of educational excellence, where children are inspired to grow with confidence, curiosity and happiness.
We've been talking about what to do over the summer, and we will be talking about movement and getting muddy and risk-taking and all that stuff, the physical side, about keeping bodies busy. But what about brains? We as parents worry a lot about screen time over the summer, but I guess the bigger question is, what do you then replace it with? This is one of my favourite things to research and talk about, because reading is linked to everything. Stronger language skills, better mental well-being, even greater empathy. But sometimes convincing a child to pick up a book rather than a tablet feels impossible. So we're talking about how to raise readers in a world that's really designed to keep us scrolling. Susannah Bull is with us today, the head of secondary English at Horizon International School. Before we talk about kids, what are you reading right now, Susannah? What's on your bedside table?
I have a couple on the go at the moment. So I'm in book 6 of 8 of a fantasy series, Throne of Glass. Mm-hmm. But sometimes fantasy just gets a little bit too much. So I did just have a short break, and I just finished reading The Make Believe by Hannah Murray, which is a memoir about her. She's the actress who was in Game of Thrones and Skins.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, about her experience with mental health.
I listened to, and it's been on my. I actually WhatsApped myself about it the day because I listened to an incredible interview with her. So, as you say, very well-known actress from Skins, Game of Thrones, and she had basically a mental breakdown that was exacerbated by joining. She's been very careful to not say cult, but a wellness organisation. Yeah. But what she speaks so beautifully about is her self-awareness and her recovery. And honestly, listening to it gave me goosebumps. So you recommended reading?
Absolutely, yeah. It's very much... It had a lot of similarities to The Bell Jar in that as she's kind of explaining the breakdown of her mental health, you almost understand it and you almost go a little bit with her and you can understand exactly how she got there.
And that's what I thought was so striking when she was talking about how she was manipulated and caught up in this organisation, because you think, gosh, actually, I think a lot of people, could quite rationally find themselves going down that path. So that's a fantastic one. I'm in a bit of a non-fiction era as well. I'm reading Strangers by Belle Burden, which has had a lot of press about true story, a couple where during the pandemic they go to their very privileged couple. They go from their Manhattan home to their Martha's Vineyard home to escape COVID with their teenagers. And the wife gets a phone call one night from a guy who says, "Your husband's having an affair with my wife." And what then happens is he walks away from their family, and it's her kind of recalibrating financial jeopardy, but also relationships. And it's really fascinating. So I'm reading that. And then I kind of started London Falling, which I need to get back into, which is, again, another true life story. I'm reading some depressing stuff. It's about a boy who kind of fell tragically to his death because he was leading this double life in London, pretending that he was the son of a Russian oligarch. And it's really interesting. So it's kind of an account of interviews with his parents and some of the people in this underworld about how this could have happened. I need some fantasy in my life. I think I need to lighten up a bit. Now, we've come to the end of term. I was going to say exams. It's kind of exams. The assessments are now come to a close. What's on the curriculum for secondary that you really like, Susannah?
Something that we brought in this year that I've really enjoyed and the students really enjoyed was for our Year 9 students, we did have a novel that we've removed and we've replaced, just for general engagement. Sometimes a novel can be quite long to get through. So we replaced it with 3 short stories from Anthony Horowitz that all feature complex protagonists that kind of, they're only a few pages long really, and they sort of take you on a bit of a journey, and there's quite a lot of ambiguity about who's the good guy and who's the bad guy, and whether they're right or wrong. And we read through these stories and we have a lot of discussion about who's right, who's wrong, is there a good guy, is there a bad guy, does that really exist? And we compare those protagonists and their mindsets, and a lot of them are seeking power in different ways. So it's really interesting. The students have really enjoyed it.
I promise not to tell the British curriculum. Is there a book that you wish would go away? Whether it's because you taught it so many times, or you just feel like this doesn't feel relevant to either where we are or who we are?
I feel like there are certain texts that I've just been teaching forever and ever and ever, and every time I start to teach them, I'm like, oh, here we go again with Macbeth. But then when I get into it, I actually love it, and I get so passionate about it. And when we were having a conversation the other day about Romeo and Juliet, and how in year 8 they'd really connected with it, and we were just talking about the power of stories and how, if you take all the language away, actually it's such an interesting, relevant story that could be something that's read now. Yeah. But people just hear the word Shakespeare and disengage.
I think that must be really interesting as a teacher as well, even if you have taught the same text time and time again, to hear different perspectives, whether that is different age groups, different cultural backgrounds, these kind of different lenses. Because, I mean, that is the enduring power of Shakespeare, that there are universal themes about love and revenge and, family and power and, all the rest of it. Did you watch Hamnet? Have you emotionally recovered from that yet?
Yeah, not yet.
No, me either. Okay. Just checking.
Yeah, it was a heavy one.
But so beautiful.
Yeah, so beautiful.
So Susannah Bull is with us today. As I said, head of secondary English at Horizon International School. And I think a lot of parents have been given reading challenges for the summer. Let's see how many books we can read, or let's read a book upside down or in a strange, So there's a lot of initiatives from schools about continuing reading and literacy over 2 months, pretty much. Tell us a little bit about how you encourage reading for pleasure and maybe disassociate reading from homework and tests and spelling.
I think the most important thing is to just embed it and make it part of the routine, and rather than be something extra that you do, standard expectation is that you read 20 minutes a day, or 10 pages a day, or 5 pages a day, whatever you can manage, as long as you are reading something, and just emphasising how important those 20 minutes are. We have a poster around showing the amount of words that you're exposed to if you read 20 minutes a day versus 4 minutes a day. By the end of year 9, you will have been exposed to an insane amount more of words than the 4 minutes a day. And just empowering children and students with the knowledge of what the actual benefits of reading are, and just having conversations. It doesn't have to be anything extra or different, but just having meaningful conversations about what they're reading. So rather than, what are you reading? Do you like it? Do you not? Is there a character or an experience that you can relate to? And having them not just read the book on surface level, but engage with it and think a little bit more critically about it.
I think that's where the parents come in as well, because using that Anthony Horowitz example, it's this idea of, okay, well, what would you do in that situation? How do you judge this character?
Yeah.
That's why I think it's good to know what your kid is reading, but also maybe reading with them. And I say this as someone who's got, I've got 2 daughters who are 9 and 11. They are very capable and they do read alone, but they also really want me to read with them.
Yeah.
So we try to do it. Listen, I'm not going to lie, it's not every night.
Yeah.
And sometimes, 20 minutes can feel like, 2 hours after a long day. They'll do it by themselves, but I like to read with them. So with the younger one, we're reading Land of Stories. I don't know if you've read part of that series, but it's about twins that find a book and they fall into the book, and what they end up is this kind of fairy tale universe where there is the evil queen, and there's, Goldilocks is on the run and she's a bit of a rebel, and Red Riding Hood's really annoying, and they've got to collect these items in order to go back to their world. But there's lots of peril. So I'm reading that with our younger one. And then I think last time we spoke, I recommended The Wrong Shoes, which is a really beautiful book about a young boy in the UK who's got peer pressure to shoplift. His family's, been through divorce. His dad can't work. There's, a lot of poverty. And I read that with our younger one and now with our older one. And I think kind of to come back to your point about books being a jumping off point for discussion, we're in Dubai. I don't think many 11-year-olds have thought about, how are we going to pay for a new pair of shoes, or turning to shoplifting to have money to pay for essentials so your dad's not having to go to work when he's injured. That's the power, I think, sometimes of putting yourself in someone else's shoes. Does that make sense? I feel like I've articulated that really badly.
No, you definitely. That was when I was young, my mum had us read a lot of Jacqueline Wilson for basically the exact same reason, because we got to put ourselves in the shoes of lots of children that were in very different circumstances to us. And I always think that that's developed my empathy as a person, even as an adult.
So we're going to talk about what counts as reading next. So Susannah Bull with us today, as I said, whether it is audiobooks, graphic novels, comics, magazines, how she feels about Kindles. Of course, you can get in touch with any recommendations as well. 4001, is there a book that you loved or indeed is really popular in your house? And of course, if you are getting pushback, how can we deal with that? What are some of the strategies to make reading feel like, not the broccoli, but the ice cream? That's coming up after this.
Dubai Eye 103.8 traffic.
Sponsored by Yas Island, Abu Dhabi. Need a place for kids to cool down and for free? The answer is yes. Book your Kids Go free package now at yasisland.com.
Melanie in the studio, 17 minutes past 3. Last traffic report of the afternoon. How's it looking? Oh no, you're making a face.
Not good, Helen, not good. Several accidents in Dubai this hour, Helen. There's one on the E11 Sheikh Zayed Road, southbound traffic around Al Manara area. There are 3 accidents on Financial Center Street. This is southbound heading towards the E44 or Ras Al Khor Road. Now on the E311, the Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Road, there are 2 accidents as well, and it's very slow from Mirdif until you reach Industrial Area 15, Sharjah. If you want to add anything else, text us on 4001. Please drive safely.
Please drive safely.
This is Dubai Eye 103.8.
Little reminder, tomorrow we're not going to be here. Melanie and I are road tripping to the nation's capital. We're going to be broadcasting live with Marriott Bonvoy with Abu Dhabi Edition, where I've heard the restaurants are amazing. So Melanie, come hungry. We're going to have lunch first, I hope. But back in the studio, and before that, 10 o'clock, you've got a brand new starting up. It's going to be Georgia Tolley in the hot seat with the team from Virtue Zone. And as they do every week, speaking to business leaders, advice on starting up and scaling up, and your chance to get the advice from those who have been there, seen it, done it, and probably sold you the T-shirt along the way. So that's 10 a.m. starting up with Virtue Zone on Dubai Eye 103.8 tomorrow.
More coming up next on Dubai Eye 103.8.
Your home.
We are going to be talking about movement and getting mucky, and I guess just a bit of elements of not the PE lesson as such, but certainly not sitting on the sofa turning into a giant thumb. We've got David Tangy joining us after past. Right now, though, one of my favourite things, cozying up with a good book.
This is Eye on Education on Dubai Eye 103.8.
Sponsored by Horizon English School Town Square, a new British curriculum school opening in August 2027. Built on over 35 years of educational excellence, where children are inspired to grow with confidence, curiosity, and happiness.
We've been talking about how to make reading feel like an adventure rather than another item on the to-do list. Maybe you have got a reluctant reader, a bookworm, a teenager who's kind of fallen out of love with reading altogether. Joining us from Horizon International School, the head of secondary English, Susannah Bull, who's had some great reading recommendations for me as well. This kind of "I don't like reading" is a phrase that a lot of parents dread and have to deal with. And I wondered, in your experience, are there any mistakes that well-meaning parents make when they're trying to encourage reading, Susannah?
I think using reading as a consequence rather than as a reward. So instead of framing it as, if you don't tidy your room, you're going to read for an hour. It's going to be, thank you for tidying your room. Now you've got a nice, cozy, relaxing place where you can read for an hour.
Or once you've done your 10 minutes, you can have an hour on your iPad.
Yeah, yeah, we don't need that, yeah.
A lot of that comes down to our own relationship with reading, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's modelling reading and modelling positive reading habits is the most powerful tool that parents can use in order to instill positive reading in their child.
What's really hard, though, is because I was a bit of a bookworm growing up, and I assumed that was going to be the case with our girls, and it wasn't, to be honest, until quite recently. And then it was your usual gateways, you know, your Dogman and your Wimpy Kids and, you know, Babysitter's Club graphic novels and things like that. That's then found them great enjoyment, and now it's been built into chapter books and, you know, really genuinely reading for pleasure. You know, our youngest has a Kindle, which I'm going to ask you about. And once I've read with her, she's like, "Oh, I'm going to have my Kindle," and I'm like, "Okay, yeah, but I'm going to come and check on you in 15 minutes," because she has been known to wake up at 4 a.m. to read for 2 hours before school. I'm like, that's too much of a good thing.
Yeah,
all right, just, you know,
bit of a problem.
put it down. But I think what's tricky is I don't know. Not every adult I know loves reading. And we kind of put it on a bit of a pedestal without understanding that it's not going to be a great passion or a great source of enjoyment for everybody. But when they have got these little young formative minds, it is really, really powerful. And we kind of need to take responsibility, as you say, and model reading a book on the sofa, taking one to the sun lounger, you know, showing a book that we're excited about to kind of pass that on in terms of contagion. But what counts is my question to you, Susannah. I mentioned there kind of graphic novels, but what about audiobooks or comics, magazines, fan fiction? I mean, to my mind, it's all good stuff, but do you have a hierarchy in your head? Does it really matter?
Not necessarily a hierarchy. I think as long as they're being exposed to literature, that's great. And if you have a reluctant reader who happens to engage with an audiobook, let's get them on the audiobooks, and then one time let's read at the same time as listening to the audiobook and slowly bring in the reading as the habits. I think as long as it's kind of progressively getting more challenging and we're not staying in the Wimpy Kid stage forever or in the graphic novel stage forever.
He has enough money. You can stop buying Wimpy Kid books.
Yeah, as long as there's that sort of progression, and that's something that you can do as a family. So if a parent is a bit of a reluctant reader, we talk about all the time in our department, reading is hard. You have to concentrate, and in a world where you actually don't have to concentrate very hard on anything right now.
Totally agree. When you are spoon-fed, really overstimulating TV, and of course, you know, YouTube Shorts or whatever it might be, where your brain doesn't have to work. When you do pick up a book that is solid text, it is a use it or lose it, and it's really easy to disengage with it because it is a bit hard, because your brain's having to fill in the gaps. You know, what could that character look like? What might happen next? What might that feel like? Yeah. But obviously the big danger is if you don't academically, could be a problem.
At the end of the day, it's a skill, and we need to practice it. And just something really valuable that I like to remind particularly secondary students of is that most GCSE papers, you have to have a reading age of 14 to understand the questions written on those papers. Some of them it's higher, sort of English language can be like 14, 15. And that's just a really kind of valuable piece of information. If you know your reading age is currently about 11 and you're in year 9, in 2 years, you're not going to be able to understand the questions that are in front of you.
And that's across subjects as well.
Yeah,
so it's not just that. Sorry, just very quickly, this is a very personal question. Kindles for kids. I read books and Kindles. I prefer a Kindle because I can fall asleep without my reading glasses and the light on. As I said, our youngest loves hers. Does it really matter?
I mean, I have a Kindle. I was very diehard hard texts for a while.
Me too, until I needed reading glasses.
I ran out of space and I was like, where am I going to put all these? So I did switch to a Kindle, and a lot of our students use Kindles. I think Kindles are fine. I always am a little bit wary if they say, oh, I'm reading a book on my iPad. Just because if you're not monitoring exactly what they're doing on the iPad.
Also, the distraction is real.
So easy to be distracted.
You get a notification and you're down a rabbit hole of something else entirely.
So Kindles I have no issue with. I also like to walk with my Kindle in the morning. I walk and read.
Are you serious?
Yeah, instead of going on my phone in the morning, I've got my head in a Kindle. It's just easier to transport.
Well, with travel coming up as well.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that is a really, really. I'm going to try and walk with my Kindle, Susannah. I don't think I've got the chops. What about the role of schools? So over the summer, even when you're not there, even when Ms. Bull is not there, going, you've got your exams coming up. What kind of challenges are you putting in place? What would you encourage as well when it comes to visiting bookshops together or libraries together, or I don't know, using a book as a jumping off point for travel or conversation? Any wins that you've won through school that we can borrow?
I think the biggest thing that we've done as a school that has been most successful is just embedding 20 minutes a day. And they know even over the holidays, 20 minutes a day. And they know in August, there'll be check-ins with the teacher and we'll be asking, what books have you read? They'll be adding them to their reading logs. And just keeping their really open communication and knowing that there's accountability with what they're reading and how much they're reading. And in terms of wins, something that we've found really beneficial is just series. If you can lock them in book one of a series, a long series, you can keep them going with that, particularly over the summer when they might not be able to come into our school library and browse. You can say, if you go on Amazon or wherever and buy this series, that'll keep them going for the whole summer.
I would just quickly add to that, because I tell you, Dogman books, not cheap. If you're able to do some swaps. We had a play date where the girls, each kid bought 4 books and they swapped. They had their names in them and then they kind of went off. I was like, I'm not buying you the entire Dogman series. I'm not made of money. So then they kind of swapped. But in terms of long series that we've really liked, obviously, Dogman, Wimpy Kid, Dork Diaries, our 11-year-old, actually both of them are loving Lottie Brooks. We've had, as I said, Land of Stories. I've had a message about that. It's really, really fantastic and it's quite chunky. It keeps them going. I think that's a great one. But yeah, a good book swap. I've always said to the kids, let's just go to the bookshop and everyone gets to choose something, because there's something about, as much as I do love the Kindle, looking at the artwork, seeing the array in front of you, getting excited. I just love a bookshop.
Yeah, even things like flea markets. Yes. There was a really good one on last weekend that I went to, and they had baskets of books, 3 for 10 dirhams.
Wow.
And they're all in really good condition.
On that note, I will tell you, downstairs Town Square, great secondhand bookshop. You've got Book Hero on Beach Road. Thrift for Good were just in. They've got books as well. So donate, buy secondhand if you can, do a good book swap. And keep sending your recommendations in. Thank you so much. Have you got any summer reading planned? Anything that you got on the to-read list?
I would like to get through the rest of Throne of Glass, but it's just proving quite chunky at this point.
You need a holiday.
Yeah, but there's a series that we always recommend to the students. It's kind of dystopian. It's called Scythe.
Scythe?
Yeah, it's by Neil Shusterman. Shusterman.
All right.
And that's got a few books in it. It's kind of dystopian, a little bit dark in some places, but it's always really, really popular. So I want to give that one a go.
I like the sound of that. Neil Shusterman is the man. Thank you so much.
No problem.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Have a wonderful summer.
Thank you.
Shout out again to all the teachers who've worked so hard above and beyond in 2026. They do it every year, but I think this year was particularly challenging. So you've earned a brilliant break and I hope you get to sit in a sun lounger with a great book.
UAE President, His Highness